All right. Well, welcome everybody. As Israel said, welcome to our first official regular board meeting of the year. We had a special board meeting last week. Thank you to all our community, for our educators, our staff, and of course, specifically to our volunteer board members and the cabinet and representatives here tonight. Tonight is our first regularly scheduled board meeting of the year. And to open things tonight, I hope you are all safe and healthy. Let us start with a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
You have a motion.
Thank
You
you.
have a second.
Thank you, Nelson. Wendy, please call the vote.
Mr. Ben Willis,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
Dr. Harbeck, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes, please stand. Place your hand on your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Dr. Harbeck. In closed session this evening, there was necessary to keep the public informed about something needs to be reported. So in closed session, the governing board approved the correction of a payroll discrepancy for the Assistant Superintendent, Educational Services, on a roll call vote of 5-0. So thank you all. We'll now turn to public comments, but before we do so, I'd like to thank the individuals who commented on our Share Your Thoughts section of the website. Before each meeting at this time, I'll aim to share the themes and honor the anonymity of that process. There were 3 themes that emerged from the comments. Please know we do read these. They make their way into our dialogue, our mindset, and our actions. There were comments about school opening, appreciation for the metrics and the good intentions of the school board were mentioned, and communication. There was views in favor of opening and appreciation of remaining closed through April 12th through spring break. Views in favor and supportive of that. There were some views wanting in school immediately. Want to recognize those. There were comments about the desire for more instructional minutes beyond the current level, both from parents and a few teachers, especially given the further delay in school opening. And comments about the greater need for social emotional learning for our children. We do want to acknowledge we hear these. Just like in public comments that we'll hear shortly, these do make them into our conversation, our dialogue, and again, the actions that are taken. So thank you for these. Let's now turn to Ms. Subaki and public comments.
Thank you. We have 4 public comments this evening. The first public comment, they are all to be read in by me. The first public comment is from Rebecca Cappy. Dear Superintendent Silvers, Assistant Superintendent Harbeck, and members of the board. 75 minutes a day of live instruction is just not enough for our students in grades K through 2. These students need more individualized supports. There is no valid reason left for the tiny amount of live instruction our K through 2 students are receiving per day. I have 3 suggestions for how to remedy these problems for our littlest learners. First, having looked at the distance learning plans in other surrounding districts, providing at least 2 hours of direct live interaction with teachers during distance learning should be provided per day. Next, each teacher should hold scheduled office hours multiple times per week to provide additional opportunities for smaller group or individual interaction with students. Finally, a personal one-on-one contact should be made with every student individually at least once per week as a wellness check. The learning loss is evident with my own children. Their skills and abilities have decreased since the beginning of this school year. The synchronous minutes currently offered in distance learning in Weisburn account for less than half of the required daily instructional minutes for our students, 180 for kindergarten and 230 for 1st through 3rd grades. The rationale for why this schedule was implemented in Weisburn this way is no longer valid. The fact is that kids need more contact with their teachers. Teachers have had time to get up to speed on this new environment. Kids have learned how to participate in the online instruction environment. I look forward to hearing more about the district's plans, and I'm happy to discuss further at your convenience. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Rebecca. The next public comment is from Tammy Miller. Dear board members, I am writing to you on behalf of the new schedule that teachers will be expected to Zoom with students beginning January 25th. With this new schedule in place, students now will be expected to attend an additional 40-minute Zoom each day, along with a minimum of one extra day at another 45 minutes in the afternoon. By doing this, we are expecting our students to be sitting in front of a screen a minimum of an additional 245 minutes a week. As a parent and as a teacher, I do not feel this is what is best for the students. During this pandemic, we have seen students negatively impacted by what is happening around us. Students need more personal interactions, time away from the computers, time with families, and time outside to just be kids. The new schedule does not support those things that are significantly needed at this time. This new schedule is also adding a lot to your teachers, only providing us with 1 hour a day to plan quality educational lessons, prep for those lessons, grade assignments, input grades, email and call parents regarding concerns, meet with other teachers to collaborate, etc., is absolutely unrealistic. The amount of stress and anxiety this will cause to your teachers is also something I would hope you would consider. Please do not allow this change in the schedule. Do not require teachers to still meet with students from 1:15 to 2, 4 days a week. Give us teachers that time to do what we need to do in order to continue to provide the best quality teaching we can during this pandemic, and allow the students the time to get off the screen and just be kids. I hope you will reconsider and really think about how this will negatively impact your teachers and students of Weisburn Unified. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Tammy Miller, 3rd grade teacher at 130 H. Next, I have Michelle DeSells. Dear Weisburn Unified School District School Board, my name is Michelle DeSells and I currently teach 3rd grade at 138th Street School. I wanted to address the plan to change the remote learning school schedule. Currently, the teachers are meeting with their whole class from 8:30 to 9. We then have a 15-minute recess, that is, if students don't have additional questions. We then have our next cohort with Group A from 9:15 to 10. Cohort B is from 10:15 to 11, and cohort C is from 11:15 to 12. Teachers then have a drop-in Zoom time from 12 to 12:20. This is where students might check in with questions or just to touch base with the teacher or classmate. We then have our lunch. We currently use our afternoon and into the evening time to create interesting and fun lessons, prepare lesson plans, check other assignments with the many different platforms we are using, email families, call parents, work with other colleagues, and I'm sure several other things I have forgotten. During this time, my students have speech, ELD, intervention, computer lab, library, music, science, and PE, as well as asynchronous lessons that I have prepared. I think many teachers agree with wanting more live instruction time with their students. However, the district is pushing a new schedule through on January 25th. This new schedule is not only putting a huge demand on the teachers, but on the students as well. Quite frankly, I don't know how much more we can take before teachers hit their limit. The district is demanding that teachers whole class Zoom from 8:30 to 9. We then meet with cohort A from 9:15 to 9:55 for ELA instruction. We then meet with cohort B from 10:05 to 10:45 for ELA instruction. Then from 11 to 11:40, we teach math to cohort A. And from 11:50 to 12:30, we teach cohort B math. Lunch is from 12:30 to 1:15. I think most teachers agree that this will provide students with more live teaching time, while still allowing for the teachers to do all their other jobs in the afternoon. However, the district does not feel this is enough. They want teachers to do student support time with their students 4 times a week from 1:15 to 2. On that 5th day, teachers have grade level meetings and staff meetings. This gives teachers from 2 to 3 to answer and send emails, plan lessons, loading work into the various platforms, grade work, and send emails reminding students to turn in their work, call parents, and work with colleagues. This will also change teachers' music, computer lab, library, resource, intervention, ELD, speech, and counseling schedules. This will mean that some students are Zooming up to 6 times on certain days. I keep hearing the higher ups talk about the concerns for the social and emotional well-being of our students. However, I don't feel like they are taking into account what is best for the teachers. As I need to focus on what is best for me and my family, I will not be using my evenings to finish the work that did not get completed during the day. I beg for you, please consider everyone when approving this schedule. I felt that it was important to share how most teachers are feeling at this time. Thank you for listening, Michelle DeSalles. And the last public comment I have is written on behalf of the Guiding Coalition by Cynthia Mendoza, third grade teacher at 130 A Street School. Dear school board members, prior to the winter break, the RAP committee and the Guiding Coalition team discussed a new student schedule which added an additional 550 minutes Zoom time per week, 110 minutes total a day. We specifically added this time in the mornings as this is the time students are more focused and can handle the rigor of academic skills. We also took into consideration that students have other academics after lunch, such as music, PE, computer class, library class, and science. In addition, some students receive special services such as resource, ELD, and speech. Then during our GC meeting this week, we were told that we would be adding an additional 45 minutes of Zooming lessons with students 4 times a week. Currently, teachers are already meeting the needs of students during our small group Zooms and our 12 o'clock drop-in Zooms. Our staff is concerned with the amount of screen time students are experiencing daily. This change will affect all of our afternoon student schedules. For example, our music classes will have to accommodate 120 students instead of 60. Computer and library class will also have an increase to their student numbers. Furthermore, teachers are concerned about being able to provide the same level of quality instruction while being given less time each day to plan and create lessons, grade and provide feedback to students on their assignments, respond to parent emails, load and create digital assignments. Please consider all of these circumstances when making this decision on increasing the amount of time students are Zooming daily and the impact it will have on students and teachers. Sincerely, 130 A Street Guiding Coalition.
Thank you to all of your comments, Ms. Hamburg-Cappy, Ms. Miller, Ms. DeSalles, Ms. Mendoza. Thank you very much. We'll now turn to comments from the board. Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Neil. I'll keep my comments pretty short tonight. I think we just came off our board meeting last week. I know we're going to continue to listen to the community, the staff, as we embark on the second semester, and we'll certainly consider those comments and so forth as we prepare our schedule for the future second semester. That's all I have tonight, Neil.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Ms. Kaneda?
Mute, Joanne. It was a wonderful speech, though.
It was so good. I don't know if I can duplicate it. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Goldman, for a chance to speak out. I think we're all experiencing, if we haven't already had enough COVID fatigue, we probably have a lot of it still involved with ourselves and our families and so on. And it's up to us and our teachers and our community to help keep us energized and excited about learning and dedicated to activity and learning throughout this pandemic. And distance learning is the choice we have right now. After our meeting last week, it was very clear that our community is not, the statistics, the metrics are not sufficient to bring students back to school. We're still waiting to see how the metrics, if they improve, to bring kids back to school in a limited fashion in April after spring break. We're doing a lot of thinking, a lot of cogitating, a lot of talking with people, a lot of listening to people, listening to our community, our teachers, and our staff. We are intending to make some changes in the delivery of the distance learning, I think, for the betterment of all. It's something that all of the decisions that we've made related to distance learning and to teaching in this environment have been thought out, debated over and over, and are based on community input, teacher input, and what we think is best for kids. So we appreciate the patience everyone has. We appreciate the dedication everyone has, and look forward to continuing to work together as a team, because that's what it takes. So appreciate that from everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Mr. Mora.
Good evening, everyone. I think both Nelson and Joanne said it well. We are listening. we're evaluating and trying to do the best we can for our students and teachers and community. And it is a tough time for us all. So let's get together and do the best that we can. So that's our goal. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mora. Mr. Banuelos.
You're on mute too, Roger. It was delightful.
Was my speech good too? Thank you. I have two comments today. First, I'd like to thank everyone who submitted public comments. I'd like to share that we do very actively listen and read the comments that we get. They're most useful in informing our decisions as we move forward. So thank you very much for submitting those comments. The second item I'd like to share with the community is that the Choice Blocks initiative, the election has been called for March 2nd, and that is a measure that would allow the Choice Blocks to formally be recognized and be a part of the Weisberg Unified School District for their children and students that have been attending the Weisberg Unified School District already for so many years. I've reported on this in the past in a couple of meetings, but wanted just to share with everyone that the county has called for an election again on March 2nd. And please be on the lookout for that and encourage everyone's participation in that initiative. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Banuelos. I will keep my comments brief as well. To remind everybody, the share your thoughts section of the website is always live. You can always comment on that. As Roger said, we do watch and listen to those. That is a new experience for us. One thing we've learned is that we're going to be adding rather a response that automatically acknowledges that we have received your comment, and please know we do read and listen to them. Also, I wanted to comment that when I was elected to the president on December 15th, I made a commitment to reach out to the cabinet, to the leadership, and to WFA and CSEA. Those meetings have been scheduled. I've completed 7 of those with opportunity to meet with everybody for an hour. There's a few more folks I have yet to meet with. And although I haven't completed those conversations, I'm both incredibly appreciative of them and I'm leaving incredibly inspired by them. The people, we are blessed to have a team from our teachers to our staff, to our cabinet, to our leadership that's dedicated and inspiring, and their prime motivation. Every employer wants their employees to not come to work because they have to or because they're coming for a paycheck, but they're coming for a purpose and a cause. And that's universally what I'm hearing. It's incredibly inspiring. So thank you to the whole team. Let's now move to our chief business official, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Dr. Goldman. I have a couple things to share tonight if I could share my screen. So the first, I think at the last board meeting, Dr. Goldman, you asked me about developer fees. Can everyone see my screen? Yep. Yeah. Okay. So what I did is I looked at what we've collected January of 2020 through December of 2020, and these are the current rates that we charge. So for residential, we charge $3.79 a square foot. For commercial, 61 cents a square foot. So you can see in residential, we collected just over $59,000 in the year. For commercial, just over $12,000 for the year, for a total of $71,395. If I was to go ahead and so let me back up, the state allocation board every 2 years can set new rates for developer fees. So on January 22nd of 2020, they set the new rates, and those new rates, if a district would adopt them, could be $4.08 per square foot for residential and 66 cents per square foot for commercial. We have not yet adopted it, but if we did, assuming everything remained the same, we would collect about $5,500 more in that year. However, if you want to raise the rates, it's highly recommended that you have a developer fee study updated. And so I reached out to a couple different consultants that we've used in the past. A developer fee study with King Consulting is just about $6,000. And with Jack Schrader and Associates, almost $7,000. So if you were to go ahead and procure one of these developer fee studies, that would wipe out any additional income you might have received by raising the rates. Typically, what I've done in the past is, every 4 years, look at those rates and justify, does it make sense if we went ahead and raised them? So, if you raised them back in January, we'd collect $5,500 more, but I think we'd be wiped even if we had to, you know, procure one of these contracts. And so if there's any questions, you know, I'd be happy to answer. We can look at this.
Dave,
again
one question.
Yes,
Are
sir.
we allowed to raise it without the study?
You can. It's highly recommended. You want to be able to justify to your constituents why you need this developer fee study or why you need to raise the developer fees. In the past, it was because it was very apparent. We unified. We had to generate more money to help build the high school, and so that was our justification. Now, I think, you know, as enrollment grows, developer fees are really to help you mitigate enrollment growth. And when we unified, obviously, you know, our 9 through 12 students went to CV before. Now they're, you know, coming to the charter schools, which are our students. So we could justify that we needed those fees to help build the high school. Now, as we see, we're hopefully increasing our preschool. We're using developer fees now to help build that Del Air preschool. You don't necessarily have to have a developer fee study, but it definitely, you know, it helps justify why you're doing it in case anyone questions why you're raising those fees.
Thank you.
We do not have an action item on this. Thank you very much, Dave, for doing this. My only comment is I think you said 4 years or so, every 4 years, we've tended to look at this and perhaps adjust it. Thus,
Correct.
if we were to make this $5,000 is a one-time cost for the study, but a 4-year gain for the 5,000. So that's something to think about as we look at this.
Right.
I'm
So
not interested. Go ahead, please.
The last time we increased the developer fees was in 2018, and we went from what was $3.48 a square foot to the $3.79, and we went from 56 cents per square foot for commercial to 61. So we could do it before. We could wait till what happens in 2022 and see what the new rates are, and you know, procure a developer fee study then. And actually, it takes effect 60 days after the board takes action. So it wouldn't be immediate. It'd be 60 days after the board would take action. But we can certainly look at it sooner if that's the direction of the board.
And when is the 2020 opportunity become available?
2020, anytime we want to.
Oh, but I meant 2022, forgive me.
Usually they meet, you know, the first month. So January, so this past year they met January 22nd, I believe. They usually meet in January of every couple of years.
It may make sense. It's certainly not going to go down in January of 2022. So it may make sense to hold off until that time to leverage even higher fees. I'm not looking to take advantage of people, but fees are always a challenge for school districts.
Correct.
I think in conversation, Dr. Goldman, just to clear, Dave, in our conversation, I think your recommendation actually was to maybe hold off until 2022, right? Is that
would be my recommendation? Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. With no further questions, I'd like to go on to the next presentation. So tonight I wanted to give an update of the COVID funds. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an update on the district's COVID funds and the new federal stimulus package that was recently passed in December of 2020. And so I wanted to give a summary of where we were with the funds. I think it was back in November, maybe December, we gave the board an update or an initial pass of the funds. And now I just want to kind of give you an update of where we are right now. So there was 5 buckets of funds that we got in COVID fund relief. This first one, ESSER, the awarded amount was just over $240,000. Through December 31st, we've spent $39,000, and available as of January 1st, 2021, just over $200,000. The second pot of fund, GEAR, expires September 30th, 2022. Our awarded amount was $146,284. We spent only $2,400, so our available balance $143,884. The next fund or next pot of money, CRF, and this actually, I wanted to highlight this. This was set to expire December 30th of 2020. With the new legislation that passed in December, they extended this out till next year. So it was December 30th, 2020. Now it's December 30th, 2021. And we had previously discussed that there was a lot of conversations in Sacramento at the federal level to extend that. And luckily, yes, it was. The awarded amount was just over $1.1 million. Through December 31st, we spent $844. So our balance available is about $280,000. And then this California Senate Bill 117, this was actually received last year and fully spent last year. And then the last bucket of money was this state Prop 98 funds, CRF. The awarded amount, $185,000. We spent zero out of here. Available balance as of January 1st, 185. What I wanted to highlight is our projected balance to start next fiscal year. So, you know, over the course of the next 6 months, we see $200,000 available. Going to bring that down to $113,000. What we have funded out of this pot of money is one counselor and a portion of a teacher at Dana. So I'm assuming that still goes down. That's why you're going to see that decrease in the ending fund balance. Out of this pot of money, we're expecting some more additional COVID funds. I know we just did we're going to do a purchase order agreement for about $27,000 to purchase headphones. So I still see some more COVID, maybe some PPE coming out of this pot of money. This one right here, we have $280,000 available. What I think I'm going to do here is because we want to use restricted money as soon as possible, as first before unrestricted money. So what I think I'm going to do here is charge some of the existing counselors' salaries and benefits to this so that we can increase our unrestricted ending fund balance. So right now, our counselors are funded out of unrestricted. If I pay them out of this restricted source, I can increase my unrestricted ending fund balance, which will boost our reserves. Obviously, I said this was spent in the prior year. And then this last one, we have $185,000 available. As of this, the end of this fiscal year, I think we'll have zero. This is where our cafeteria people are being funded from. Obviously, we're taking a loss from our cafeteria fund as we're not having as much participation. So that's where I see these people being paid for. Just to highlight the new federal stimulus package, again, it was signed December 27th by President Trump. We're going to get this nation will get about $82 billion for education providers. It's going to be allocated similarly to how we get Title I funds. I already mentioned that the CRF deadline was extended from December 30th, 2020 to December 31st, 2021. Newsom actually in his proposal, some of it's been leaked, is that he's going to ask for that extension actually to be even extended further to May 31st, 2021. And of this new funds, Weisburn is expected to receive about $867,000. So if I go back up, you can see as of next year, beginning of next fiscal year, $200,000 plus this $867 that's coming, we'll have just over $1 million for future COVID funds. One other thing that's changed, we talked about allowable expenses in the past. With this new money, they're going to let you use it on HVAC systems. So, and also school facility repairs, improvements that will enable the operation of schools to reduce the virus transmission, exposure to environmental health hazards. And by doing so, you can improve indoor air quality in school facilities, including heating, ventilation, air conditioning, filtering, purification, etc. So we're going to look at that on how we can really leverage those funds to make our classrooms safer.
Dave, can I just add to that? I mean, one thing that I know you've looked into was a purification, an air purifier that would be attached. It's I guess you'd call it an aftermarket air purifier, right?
Yes.
And it attaches to each of our HVAC. So instead of upgrading, obviously, our HVAC systems, which would be cost prohibitive, even with this money, that if you add this purifier to the existing systems, that then you obviously have pure air. The air is much cleaner as it comes in and out of our classroom. So initially, you're looking at a couple $100,000 of an expense, around $220,000 or $230,000 to do that on our 40 HVAC systems across the district.
I think a closer number is probably around 200, maybe 220 HVAC units. So an investment of $200,000, $250,000.
Is that a one-time investment?
It's one time. One time, and I believe they have a 5-year warranty.
Okay.
But more to follow as we do more research on that.
I think we talked too about just even in non-COVID times, this is just good, more healthier air within our classrooms, through flu seasons and cold seasons and all of that as well. And so we would want to create a process by which when these units go out, we have a fund set aside to replace them. If it's a 5-year warranty, we know we're going to have to do some replacement. So we want to be real strategic about that as well.
I have a question about PPE. We've probably stocked up quite a bit on PPE in preparation for, at some point, the students actually returning to the classroom. Is that got a shelf life that's going to last us? Let's say students don't come back till September of 21. Or is that equipment, shelf life long enough? Does it have to be replaced in that way, or do we know?
Joanne, I really don't see anything that has an expiration date other than maybe hand sanitizer, but I don't know if that has a shelf life. Most of the PPE stuff we have are cloth masks, plastic rubber gloves, sneeze guards, things like that. The only thing I could think of maybe that would have a shelf life would be the sanitizer if it degrades over time, or the efficacy of it, degrades over time.
Okay. That's great, though. That means that the money that we've already spent on that equipment, and we haven't probably used all that much of it, is still going to be appropriate for use when we do come back to the classroom. Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. One last thing I just wanted to mention to the board that in the past, we haven't offered meals during the summer, but we're really looking at extending our meal service through the summer. In the past, during summer school, we said we directed our students, if they wanted a meal during summer school, to go over to the Del Air Park. The county would provide meals. I think we're really looking at continuing offering our meal program through the summer to help feed our students 18 years and younger. More to come on that, but we're most likely going to do that.
Dave, will our federal subsidy support that in any way ongoing?
Yes. So we do get reimbursements, federal and state reimbursements for every meal that is served.
Doesn't cover the cost, but it helps.
I think during the summer, I'm kicking the numbers around during the summer, because we don't have the cafeteria fund employees are 10-month employees. So during the summer, you could only hire or only bring back how many you need, right? You don't have to pay the entire staff. So if we only need 3 or 4 people to prepare meals, I think that reimbursement would cover those costs, and we could actually make a little bit of profit to boost our fund balance for the following year.
There's been some talk from the governor about additional funding, state funding, for schools that bring the K through 2 age group back. Do we have any details about what that means, or maybe do we know when we would have the rules surrounding that funding?
So right now, initially what I've heard is anywhere from $450 per ADA to up to $800 per ADA. You do have to submit a full, return to school plan. I don't know if Nisha has any additional information, but you'd have to have a whole, plan that comes back to show you how you can come back safely. I think you have to have your, all bargaining units sign off on it. So it's pretty labor intensive, but Nisha, if you have anything else to say, anything to add?
Correct. So the governor, they just released the guidelines this morning, another 51-page document, another plan to create, another checklist to go through. So we are analyzing it and looking at it and see what that means for Wiseburn. But this plan does come with those metrics. And so it's not a waiver program. It's, once we fall below a certain threshold, which is a case rate of 25 per 100,000 residents in the county, then and only then can we open up for it's actually for case 6 to open up.
Okay.
But there are additional guidelines that we must follow to get to that point.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Nisha. It is obviously premature to sort of understand what this is, but we know that it's out there, and look forward to you folks understanding what it is so you can help us understand it. Thank you.
And just for the record, to date, we're at about, I think, 77 per 100,000.
Yes.
So it's a long road ahead for that.
I'm not laughing at the statistics. It's just that it's such a gap. Anyway, thank you.
Anything else, Dave?
That's it, Dr. Neal. Dr.
Thank
Goldman, thank you.
Very much. You always respond to our requests and get us some analysis, so thank you very much. Much appreciated. Our Director of Psychological Services, Ms. Mazzarella, thank you so much for joining us. I think this is your first meeting after you get a chance to get your feet on the ground, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad to be here. Good evening, everyone. I just have quick, I don't have any formal presentation to show. I just wanted to quickly share numbers of in-person assessments that we've done since we were able to start doing that again in November. So in terms of psychoeducational assessments, where the teacher and the school psychologist and the other team members have been able to get together, we've been able to do 15 in-person assessments, and we have 24 that are in process. So pieces of them, you know, maybe there's been one appointment, but that assessment isn't complete because, of course, we had to put that on hold until we can get the numbers down and bring people back again safely. So then we have 30, we've been able to do speech and language assessments only, you know, the students that only receive that service, those have been able to be done virtually. So we have somebody who we brought on contract to assist with that. And she's done about 30, I think, to date. I mean, it's like it's ever changing because she's cranking them out. So there are more measures that you're able to do virtually. You know, the psychoeducational assessments, we're not able to, they're not, standardized for us to be able to do them virtually. So that's really prohibiting us from doing that virtually. But we do have one psychologist who's found a tool that she's been able to complete a remote assessment, and she's done 2. So she's looking to hopefully add to that number and do some more. And yeah, we're just real excited. The teams are trying to be creative right now to look at doing some online observation. And, you know, we've been doing that anyway, but they're really trying to do, the preschool particularly is looking at doing some team assessment virtually as to the best of their ability, being able to do that. So we look forward to starting to plan again to bring kids back and to do more assessment.
And I want to congratulate you and your team. This is very difficult work. And it's so important to the students and the families. And it made so much more difficult and confusing with the with the remote nature of how we are able to do this. So I really respect your team tremendously, and thank you for making all this happen. It's really important for our families.
Well said, Joanne. Peggy, thank you very much. And again, glad to have you aboard.
Thank you.
Our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Dr. Dougal, glad to have you aboard as well.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Let me first start with what's probably on everyone's mind is the vaccination and what's going on with the COVID vaccination, just not only as it impacts the education sector, but also, you know, the community and residents. So LA County is still currently in phase 1A, which is healthcare providers. And starting this week, our school nurse and our health clerks are also eligible to get the vaccination. I will say it's been difficult to secure appointments, but that they are eligible to now begin getting the vaccination. Most of you also may have heard a few days ago that Governor Newsom announced that now, you know, those age 65 and over can also get the vaccination. Just so everyone's aware, in LA County, we are not quite ready to go to that next level yet. We still have over 500,000 healthcare workers that still need to get their vaccination. So we're working on it, but we'll get there. Now, as it pertains to us as a school district, we are phase 1B, which is the education sector, and all employees, classified and certificated, are eligible under the 1B phase. Anticipation is 1st to 2nd week of February. Anticipated timeline, but no guarantees yet. Just so everyone's clear, there is no cost to the vaccination. So there's no cost associated with it. We at Wiseburn are exploring some creative partnerships to bring the vaccination to our staff members. Once again, we are working on the creative partnerships that may look like contracting with medical facilities or fire department or different entities within the city. So we are working on that. But if we aren't able to secure that, employees will be eligible for free to get it from their own medical provider through the pods, which is the point of distributions that LA County has, and the mega pods that might be going to the convention center and Dodger Stadium. So once we get more information, all employees will get information on how to actually access the vaccine. So that's kind of in a nutshell where we're at. Hoping it rolls out sooner, but as soon as we get information, we'll let everyone know. But do want everyone to know that all employees, classified and certificated, will be eligible for the vaccination. Another big question that keeps coming up is surveillance testing and what that looks like, and just kind of a quick rundown. Surveillance testing kind of works in 3 phases. The first is symptomatic. So those that are showing symptoms of COVID, right, they're told to go get tested by their medical provider. A response testing, which is we have someone with COVID, everyone that's exposed needs to go get tested. The real question is the asymptomatic, and based on what tier of when we open up, we may have to test employees and students either once a week or twice a week, or once every 2 weeks, based on exactly how many case rates or adjusted case rate numbers we have. And so once again, here we are looking at some partnerships. We know that insurance companies will more than likely, give us a couple of free tests, right? But at some point, there's going to be a charge for these tests. And that's, Joanne, that's similar to what the money that's going to be tied to what once we open up is what monies can be used for, is the surveillance testing. And so we are trying to find organizations and looking at what other districts are doing as well in terms of how we can get that going. There are quite a few personnel items on the agenda today, but just wanted to highlight a few. First, you will see item 8.5, which is the new job description for the response to intervention teacher. Wanted to let everyone know that this was a collaborative effort as we took a closer look at the job description to ensure we were really meeting our students' needs. And so we revised the job description instead of just reopening a position. And this is really going to allow for some flexibility, but most importantly, prioritizing what our students need. And so we want to make sure that you are aware that it is a new job description, and it is to identify the learning gaps for not just reading, but also math. And it is categorically funded. So I know Dave wanted to make sure we all understood that categorically funded, so it's not part of the general fund. And finally, just want to close up with just taking the time to thank our classified staff. Prior to March 16th, 2020, but even before, our dedicated instructional aides, custodians, clerical support, health and library clerks, maintenance operations, district office staff, and especially our IT department have continued to support the work in engaging, empowering, and elevating our students. A special shout out to our food service staff for ensuring on the daily that students are receiving a nutritious meal. So although our students are continuing to learn from home, the work is continuing at our school sites, at our district office, and that's with the help of our classified staff. So just once again, just a special shout out and thank you to all those that keep our district running. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Dr. Dugal. Thank you for a very informative report, and also for giving the conscious thought to what's next instead of just automatically doing what we've done before. So appreciate that very much. Thank you. Move to the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Dr. Harbeck.
Thank you, Dr. Goldman. As we close our first semester at the end of January for our schools with report cards coming out in February, we also open the window for mandatory state testing. So I just wanted to give the board an overview of where we're at. Since schools have closed, all testing for now, we're planning on delivering virtually. So that takes a big lift. There's several pieces to this that not just Wiseburn, but all school districts are struggling with. The first test that's up is what's called the LPAC, or the English Language Proficiency Assessment for California. So this test is given strictly to students who have been identified as English learners. In our district, that's about 260 children, grades K or TK actually through 8. So in this LPAC, it's a mandatory test. It's used to monitor students' progress toward language proficiency. It's a multi-layered test. There's several parts to it, and each has to be given separately. We have, depending on grade level, 1-to-1, and also group settings for this virtual test. There are security setups that we have to communicate to our parents so that these tests can be secured on the other side as well. We have a great team. The ELD team is going to be training for this in January. This is a training they do every year. It's several hours for them to go through the training to give the LPAC. We also have our aides training, our ELD aides training as well. So as they prepare, they're working with their principals, setting up schedules. and working toward communicating all of this with parents to make sure that students can take this test. Last year, we did finish before the closing of school, so we're hoping to have all of this done by the end of February, far away from the mandated testing that's coming in May. This also is informing our practice as we set up for that testing in May. Many of the same structures are going to apply. So we're using it as a learning, setting up videos for parents and step guides so that everybody is on board and can communicate well. So this is a big lift for us, but you know, great team working on it, ELD teachers, principals, Sarah Nitsos is behind this. Feel very fortunate to have it all going well. And I think I'll close with that tonight. That's what's going on.
Thank you, Dr. Harbeck. Thank you for your leadership through all these areas. Our superintendent, Dr. Silvers.
All right. Can you hear me? Yes, I'm unmuted, right? Thank you, Dr. Goldman. I appreciate it. I just want to share the update, the latest update from the LA Department of Public Health. And for those of you that don't know, at the end of last week, it was Thursday or Friday, Dr. Barbara Ferrer, who's the director of LA County Department of Public Health, actually encouraged, or I should say better yet, all but directed that schools in Los Angeles County close until February 1. At the earliest, as to help to combat the spread of the coronavirus. And so as that happened, we are starting to see all of the local districts closing, similar to how we did last week, closing for in-person services, closing for the TK2 waiver. We're all in this sort of wait and see mode now, just to see how we can help prevent the spread of coronavirus. So we did get some leadership from the Department of Public Health, and we were definitely waiting for that. A few other items. I want to thank the team here at Wiseburn and our extended network of support providers. Erica Corder and Jason Neely have been really instrumental in the support and guidance of our communications platform, of trying to rearrange our website. And you know, honestly, there's been more communications that's had to go out in the last 10 months than probably ever before. And so this has been pushed out with a lot of support and guidance. I just want to thank the people that are behind the scenes that we often don't recognize. The website, although it is still under construction, is I think shaping up nicely, and hopefully the community is having an easier job navigate the website and also find what they need and information they need in the within the website.
Blake, I have a question.
Sure.
I know a lot of the material that you've rolled out and that has been significant has had Spanish translation associated with it as well. Who does that for us?
So we have Margarita Cisneros Garcia she's one of our secretaries here at the district office. She does so many things behind the scenes. And then we also have a team of others when she's not available to do that will review and send that out as well, or that will translate as well.
I'd really like to recognize those folks too, because I think that is such an important element of the communication as it's been going out. I know sometimes the community may not realize that there is Spanish translation that goes with all of the distribution that is made out of the district office. And I'd like to thank those folks especially too, because I think it's beyond perhaps what their normal assignments are to get that done. And it's so beautifully done. Anyway, I just wanted to ask that question.
I appreciate that comment too. I would say that a lot of times it's not, there's not a week of preparation to turn these messages around. So it's a last minute request that, or the day before, and it is a lot of work to translate, especially.
A lot of work.
I know Israel says I write a lot, so especially when I'm writing the messages, it's quite a lot of translation. So no, really appreciate that comment too. And we also just started our outreach and recruitment phase of the school year, which is very odd this year with it being from a distance, and we're trying to really promote our schools and to provide a virtual way for families to see what the schools may look like. Our incoming TK and kinder students, our incoming sixth graders, particularly those students that have not been a part of Wiseburn before, and this is their new it's going to be their new school. We want them to be able to see what the school will look like. So a big thank you to the principals and assistant principals for very informative and well-prepared presentations that they're sharing with folks that sign up. And Alicia Galindo, who's behind the scenes, putting these tours, we're calling them virtual tours, but generally we would do tours, putting them together and making sure that that it's still a very nice presentation for families who may just need more information and may not know what Wiseburn and are just learning about Wiseburn. So Very, very well done. And I most recently was able to join the tour at Dana. Yesterday was the first one. Dana kicked off the tour season, the virtual tour season yesterday. So thank you to Kiana and Kevin. And then just today, I was able to see Cabrillo's tour and participate in Cabrillo's tour or virtual tour. Also, I just wanted to, this is the time of year that we basically are ending our first semester. We're coming towards the end of the first semester, they're amidst the grades and the talk of the pandemic and, return to school or not return to school and the finances behind it. I just don't want to lose sight of all the great events that did take place this year. And I want to end my comments on a very positive note that, we've seen students reading and learning and doing math, and that, our CGI practices in the classroom have still been going strong. Students and their families are still driving up and receiving lunches from our food service employees. And it's been atypical to say the least, but we've seen movie nights and we've seen dance nights and we've seen rocket launches and balloon launches and all of these things. PLTW activities or early engineering activities. We've seen teachers just laughing with their students and aides supporting the students and special ed assessments. And so there's been all of these very positive things that have happened throughout this semester. And so I don't want to lose sight of the work that's going on behind the scenes. And I think I would echo what Dr. Dougal shared, which is hats off to our classified employees. And, I think that since March, the operations haven't stopped. And I've shared this before, and I just want to reiterate it again, is that, the schools have to move and payroll has to be met. And again, food has to be served and mail has to be delivered. And we really stand on the shoulders of those people that do that. And we couldn't do the job without them. The district wouldn't operate without them. And my hat's off, and a great, great level of appreciation to all of them, and then for their work. And so thank you. And I just want to thank the community, thank the board for the patience and the grace that you've given us over this time, this difficult time. And that's all from me, Dr. Goldman. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Silvers. Comment from the board?
I'd just like to add that we've also learned about virtual backgrounds, right?
I wanted to add something to Neil, and that's when Nisha was talking about partnering with different groups to bring these services to the district. I really appreciate that approach. And to build on what Blake said earlier about all the support that we've received as a district from all of the components in the district, I wanted to say that I really appreciate not just the support, but the creativity that's been embedded in all of this support, because it's not just support like we've always had it. It's different, and it's challenging, and it's sometimes threatening perhaps to do a person's job these days. And I appreciate the creativity and the thoughtfulness that has gone into making the work that people have done possible, not just possible, but also successful. And a lot of that is the creativity and the willingness to accept change and go with it. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Joanne. Well said. Let's go to minutes 5.1. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the December 15th, 2020 meeting, please?
You have a motion?
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Ms. Zubaki, take a vote, please.
Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to action items. We have only one general action item, item 6.1. Adopt resolution number 2021.12, declaring the canvass of votes cast and results of the California State General Election held on November 3rd, 2020, school board election. May I have a motion, please?
I'd like to move that for,
Go ahead, Roger, and I'll second.
thank you.
I think, Blake, you wanted to comment here?
I did, and I'm sorry I was muted and commented, so I will comment. I'd actually like to read this statement. This is actually one document that I get to sign that I sign. I'm the sole signature on this. And I'd like to read this resolution, if that's okay, Dr. Goldman.
Yes, please.
Wiseman Unified School District Board of Education, resolution number 20-20.12, declaring the canvass of votes cast and results of the California State General Election held on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. Whereas a California State General Election was held and conducted within the boundaries of the City of Hawthorne and the County of Los Angeles on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, as required by law, for the object and purpose of electing 2 members of the Board of Education for the full term of 4 years each. And whereas said California State General Election was held on said date in accordance with the law, and the votes thereat received and canvassed by the Registration Elections Division for the County of Los Angeles, and the returns thereof ascertained, determined, and declared in all respects as required by law. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Wiseburn Unified School District as follows: that the Secretary of the Wiseburn Unified School District be and is hereby instructed to enter this resolution into the minutes of this Board of Education meeting as a statement of the result of said election. That Neil Goldman and Joanne Canetta received the highest number of votes cast for the offices for which each was a candidate, and said persons were thereby elected to said 4-year terms, and that the county clerk is hereby authorized to sign and deliver thereto a certificate of election and to administer the oath of office as prescribed in the Constitution of the State of California to the aforementioned elected officials. I, Dr. Blake Silvers, Secretary of the Wiseburn Unified School District, do hereby certify that the above and foregoing Board of Education resolution was or will be hopefully duly passed and adopted at the regularly scheduled board meeting held by the Board of Education of the Wiseburn Unified School District on the 14th day of January, 2021 by the vote that's upcoming. And I think we vote. Or
Thank
you?
you, Dr. Silvers. Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Ready? Mr. Benelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Very proudly, aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye, and congratulations to you both.
Mr. Mora.
Aye. Congratulations.
Well, thank you all. And now it's as written, it actually reads correctly. And on behalf of Joanne and myself, Dr. Silvers, thank you for reading that, because it would have been strangely self-serving to have read that ourselves. So thank you very much. Let us move to consent items. I believe we can address all of these in one motion. I have a motion, please.
I'd like to motion 7.1 through 7.7, Neil.
You have a second.
Thank you both very much. Any comments or questions regarding these items?
No questions.
No.
Ms. Ubaki?
Mr. Benuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. Moving on to personnel. I'd like a motion, please, for item 8.1. This is regarding a special employee here that we will recognize in our February meeting, but want to acknowledge motion at this time for 8.1.
You have a motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. This is to accept the resignation of classified staff, Mr. Bill Denny. Any comments, Blake, that we wish to make at this time?
So yes, I mean, we definitely want to recognize Mr. Denny for his, service to Wiseburn, just a phenomenal individual. And I think we'll do justice to it at a later date, later in February as we get closer to his actual retirement date. This action allows us to move forward with hiring so that the person that we potentially would hire would be able to work with Mr. Denny, with Bill. So I think that we'll have some prepared remarks and want to invite his family and so forth to a meeting in February, and we'll let him know that.
Mr. Denny is an institution here. We'll get pretty gushy in February, so hang tight, more to come.
Like most of these retirement things, we don't want to approve them, but we do, because we definitely respect the work and the commitment and the opportunity for folks to take advantage of a happy and healthy retirement. So,
he's earned his retirement. He can.
Oh yeah,
enjoy.
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. It has been moved and seconded. Let's have a vote, please. Ms. Subaki.
Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on in personnel, saving 8.6, as that is the other half of this equation of the next phase. Let's take 8.2 to 8.5 if we may have a motion accordingly.
I will move 8.2 through 8.5.
I'll second.
Thank you, Joanne. Comments or questions regarding these items? I know, Dr. Dugal, you had commented and give us some explanation on 8.5, so thank you. Without any further comments, Ms. Subaki, let's vote.
Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 8.6, approve job description and salary schedule, Director of Facilities, Maintenance, and Operations. Motion, please.
You have a motion?
You have a second?
Thank you both. Dr. Dugal, you want to wish to give us a little more background on this?
Perfect. Go ahead and comment on 8.6. So first, as you will see, it's a new job description, a new job title as well. And so just a couple of highlights. The change in title is due to the level of supervisory role we're looking for in this position, and some key differences in the job as well. And so one of them is the level of analysis. And so one of those is to analyze work methods and to increase efficiency of the work. And so that is something that will be happening, as well as communicating with multiple entities on projects. And so that is working with contractors, subcontractors, and others on the campus as well. Along with the new job description is also a new salary schedule, and for a couple of reasons. First is the increase in the supervisory responsibility and the job duties, but also to make it competitive with similar job descriptions in our neighboring districts. And so we wanted to ensure that we do get the most qualified candidate for this position to join the team here.
Other comments or thoughts? Thanks.
Such an important position. Thank you, Dr. Dugal.
Indeed, and again, thank you for your thoughtfulness as we evolve moving forward. So thank you. Ms. Subaki.
Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
I
That
think
vote,
we have a ventriloquist on the board here.
I was going to say that vote was rough, but sorry. All right. Upcoming dates and events. 138th Street School has the virtual family dance art night on Thursday, January 21st. Dance your heart out, 5:30 to 6:30. Anne's the virtual school tour, Friday, January 15th. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday is this Monday, so there is no school. Regular meeting Thursday, January 28th, our next board meeting at 6 p.m. Any other dates, events, or comments about these dates?
No comment.
I just wanted to mention that the WEF, the Education Foundation, sent out one of their sort of blanket emails to WEF members that the Rock Around the Block is going to be virtual again this year on May 1st. So there's information coming out about that too.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you for keeping the spirit alive, everybody, in these really challenging times. Any other events, comments, issues to address this evening? If not, may I have a motion to close, to adjourn?
You have a motion to adjourn?
You have a second?
Go ahead,
And-
Nelson.
Yes? And Wendy, I guess we need one last vote.
Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye. And one question, do we use the 6 o'clock closed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you all, everyone. If you do get a 3-day weekend, enjoy. Go to all the various activities that you can't enjoy, that you can't do, but imagine and use your good spirit to celebrate with your family. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you all.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Thanks, everyone.
Night, everyone.